The one time I'm going to use the microphone and it just doesn't want to work. Okay, welcome back everyone. This is the last session of the day. I'm so thrilled to announce our next presenter. He's a great friend of mine, a great colleague, Mr. Mike Battle. Mike Battle has been with the LLA for more than 26 years. During the first part of his career, he conducted performance audits of state agencies. Mike now serves as a senior manager in advisory services where he works to provide fiscal and programmatic advice to locally elected officials and their staffs. Mike has also served as LLA's fiscal notes coordinator during legislative sessions since 1999. Mike has a master's in public administration from LSU and is a certified internal auditor, certified government auditing professional, and is certified in risk management assurance. Please welcome Mr. Mike Battle.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, everybody can hear? I'm good and live over there? Okay. Thank you, Lizzie. Every time I hear that I've been here over 26 years, nearly 27 years, I can't believe it. Time moves quickly, I guess, when you're having fun. I used to do performance audits of big state agencies, primarily dealing with state agencies. And over the last 13 years, I've been dealing with local governments and advisory services, where we go out and meet with you all out there, pinpoint areas that need improvement, problematic areas, and help craft resolution with you. And it's been very rewarding, something I really enjoy doing. I know that you're faced with a lot out there in local government, and I respect what you do, and I really think it's an honor to be involved with you out there actually pinpointing deficiencies and coming up with resolutions to operate more efficiently and effectively and those type of things. I really do enjoy doing Center for Local Government Excellence. I think this is a great program. The instructors here have good working knowledge, a lot of experience, and I will tell you that these instructors care if you are successful or if you're not successful. I mean, they want you to be successful, and they're here to share information with you that will help you in your jobs, and that's what we're here to do today. We're here to share information with you, like our mission says, and I know you've seen it around in the lobby on the banners and everything. Better information, better Louisiana. So that's what we're here to do. Not preaching at you, not talking down to you. We're discussing with you because we are, I feel, all teammates. We want the same thing. We want effective and efficient government. We want government that produces what we intend it to produce for our residents and our citizens. So the topic of this class today is characteristics of effective governing boards. So what we're going to do during this class, we've got an hour to talk. We're going to talk about importance of being an effective board, good governance and leadership, we'll hit on that. Characteristics of a good or effective board versus a bad or ineffective board. Strategies about how we can get to being an effective board member, staff member, member of management, and lessons that I've learned from working with all of you in local government and from working for nearly 24 years during legislative sessions. There was a person in local government once who told me, Mike, you just don't understand how it is to have to deal with a board month after month and all the demands and pressures that come with it. And I said, oh, I do though. I have a board that has 144 members, and they meet 2 to 3 months every year. And I have learned a lot from dealing with the biggest board meeting in the state, I always call it, the legislative session itself. And it's taught me a lot, and I want to share some of those things with you today. When we talk about being an effective board, let's not get caught up with a board and being an effective board member only. An effective board member, an effective board has to have effective staff, good staff, supportive staff. And what it really means to me, effective members plus effective staff equal effective board equals good governance. And that's why it's important that we talk about being an effective board and an effective board member, which is synonymous with, effective support staff and an effective entire organization. Why is it important that we have to talk about this and to understand what goes into being effective? It's because it's all about good governance, right? And these two bullets here show us that local government affects our daily lives. Every day we're affected by local government. The quality of our lives are affected. The routine of our lives, every single day. That's why it's important that we deal with what goes into being a person that is skilled in good governance, right? Also, people have become those now, our communities, our constituents, that expect this from us. I mean, the internet, technology, everything, people know what's going on. I used to say when I first started the legislative auditor's office, we had to call the bill room to find out what was going on with House Bill 10. Now, I have neighbors that are 80 years old saying, Mike, I got a question about House Bill 10. I looked at it and it failed in committee. What happened? And I'm going, wow. So now people are more educated. As a result, they expect more from us, from government. So I want to read this. I thought it was important enough to put it here. It says, no local government deserves, nor should its citizens tolerate governing bodies and elected and appointed public officials who don't exhibit extraordinary effectiveness, integrity, and competence in leading their communities' public institutions. That's very important. That's what they expect from us. So what do effective boards look like? I always like in these presentations to go out and research and see what those that are, experts in the discipline or experts in the industry of good governance, what they have to say. I like to introduce that in presentations and talk to you about that. And I also like to kind of follow it up or kind of pepper within those pieces of information, but especially follow it up at the end of a presentation, what I've learned and what you all have taught me and others have taught me that works, and kind of give you some advice and checklist type information that you can bring back to your organizations and make things work better. I do like to say, and I do like when this happens, when the research, those who are experts in the field or in the industry and the discipline, what they're saying agrees. And it does. When you're looking at what effective boards are, when you Google that and you look at all these different folks that weigh in on it, they're pretty much in agreement. But I also like when what they're saying is in agreement with what I'm saying. And we're not too far off, because it gives it more power there. So let's talk about what the research is saying about what an effective board looks like. They understand and promote and work to be leaders. Now, this is heavy-handed moving towards the board member's responsibility, but like I said, a board member can't be successful without a staff member, without management, and those things. So I think these are things that everybody can do, can take from and learn and go back and employ and be a better person, more skilled in providing good governance. So they understand, promote, and work to be leaders. So what are leaders? They make things happen that might not otherwise happen, and they prevent things from happening that ordinarily might happen. So you're trying to make good things happen, and you're trying to protect against bad things happening, right? If you've ever heard me talk about internal controls, there's a definition of internal controls that really kind of looks like this bullet here. You're employing strategies to make good objectives, to get to the end, to meet goals that are good for your organization. You're employing strategies to try to protect against things bad that may happen to hurt your organization. So they understand that. They get people together to achieve common goals and aspirations. They help people transform intentions into positive action, visions into reality. And they understand that leadership and being an effective leader and one who is very skilled in good governance. It doesn't come from the oath of office and the ceremonies and the pledging in and swearing in and all that. They understand that it doesn't come from that. They understand that it is the result of disciplined adherence to a set of fundamental principles and skills that characterize highly effective governing bodies, right? So I've heard Jennifer talk about it. I've heard others talk about it. I'm sure we'll hear folks talk about it. It's a thinking person's game again, right? You don't just get sworn in and you're a person that is responsible and successful for good governance. It takes work, commitment. You have to know what you are supposed to be doing and what drives you and the parameters that guide you. You have to commit to those, and you have to see it to the end to make it work. And we're going to talk about a lot of other things that you have to do, including communication. I can't tell you how many times I've heard the word communication and respect. So I tuned in to the accounting segment this morning, and I hear communication mentioned, okay? Then Jennifer, I came into Jennifer's and I hear communication, respect, communication. Very, very important. And the people that are successful as governing members and staff and all that, they understand that. We'll talk about that more too. They accept that individual board member success is tied to the overall success of the board. If your entity, government entity, is having problems and the staff is having problems and the board is just dysfunctional, so what if one member is successful? Can that even be? I don't know. But they understand that their success is a success of the entire organization. Can't stand alone as a successful person. I think I heard that in Jennifer's talk as well. They focus on what the people need, and they cooperate with all levels of government. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Once you make the commitment to recognize and agree that this is the business of the people, and as long as what you're doing is helping the people you were elected to serve or you were hired to serve, everything becomes less political, less emotional, and less dangerous in terms of maintaining decorum to get to an efficient, effective end. They think and act strategically. It's a thinking person's game. You just don't let things happen to you and around you. You have to think through it and act. And you have to act in a manner that will get to resolution. And we'll talk about all this more a little bit. They attend meetings, are prepared, and engage in discussions. They've done their homework. Some of this stuff, I'm like, why do people write books and put this in a book? That's just what you do, right? This is just what you do here. But when people write stuff like that and put it in a book or a professional article or journal, it means that a very basic elementary principle is not being done consistently. It kind of blows my mind sometimes, but then again, I respect what you do, and you get in the arena of local government with all the issues and complexities and passions and personalities, and it's not the easiest thing to do, the most basic of principles, and that's why we go over them again. Just like football coaches do, and we're going to talk about a guy that was very successful with his football team, but football coaches talk about the basics every day, every week, every month, every game, the basics over and over and over and over, because you get into that environment. There's the crowd going crazy. There are people screaming at you. You got a lot of things on your mind, right? And you don't do the most basic elements that will ensure your success. So they have and adhere to clearly defined roles, responsibilities, and requirements. Policies and procedures, statutes, ordinances. Jennifer mentioned open meetings law, and she's going to be talking tomorrow about a lot of the laws that affect local government on a daily basis. So they're aware of them, and they follow them, and they use LLA's resources. I'm throwing a little plug in there. They call advisors like me and the other advisors in our office. They go to our website. They attend CLGE. Those kind of things. So they know what they're responsible for doing. They build teams and skills to get the job done. They hire the right folks, or they authorize the hiring of the right folks. They promote training. They bring in folks to help. It's not political. It's who's the right person for the job to help the folks that we got to help, right? It's not political. It's not about an uncle or an aunt or a friend or whatever, or I don't want to approve this person because you didn't approve my person. And no, we can't do that, and that's what the literature says. They honor the board-staff relationship and respect the team. There's a difference there, right? I put this big paragraph here. It's a lot, but I thought it was important. They share and defend views, but listen to the views of others. Now remember, this isn't just people writing about Louisiana, right? It's people writing about all boards, corporate, government, everything, and we have these things in common. So it says they share and defend views, but listen to views of others. And they do it respectfully, and they maintain decorum. But read what's up on that slide. Maintain decorum. By laying down parameters and rules and maintaining decorum, you're not precluding citizen input. Courtesy or sensitivity to the public is not at stake. You're not precluding input from members or staff. What you're doing is respecting all elements and the necessity to conduct business in an orderly, disciplined, and productive manner. I can't tell you how many times I've seen decorum break down. I can't tell you how destructive it is. I once got a call from a local government person and said, I think you should come. I think people are going to fight in the meeting. And I said, well, you might need to hire a police officer because I don't want to go over there. It's been quite a while since I had any of that to do, but I don't want to be responsible for that. I think you need a police officer. But it broke my heart really because it had disintegrated to that level and it could have been avoided. We've gone into situations where folks can't talk anymore, and we've had to work that out because decorum of big meetings and decorum of small meetings is not being maintained. It has to be maintained. So I heard Jennifer saying about evaluation of yourself, evaluation of your organization and what you're doing. This one says that they not only assess and discuss performance of staff's implementation of policy, but assess and discuss performance of the board, accountability while working together to foster improvement. So they're assessing effective professional board members are assessing the performance of the staff, you know, in the regular board meetings when they're getting updates and saying, okay, how's the program doing? How's the budget doing? They're reporting on that. But also, they're allowing free-flowing discussion and assessment of the overall performance of the organization, including the performance of the board. That's the most healthy. Now, this bullet here says, highly effective boards seek feedback through focus groups, surveys, and questionnaires. I don't know if you have to be that formal. I think probably a lot of private company boards do that. But I think what the spirit of this is saying is ask yourselves all together. Not only, hey mayor, how's the budget going? But hey guys, okay, I see how the budget's going. We've talked about it. We have advice that we've given and we'll make amendments, whatever. What do you think about the overall course of this local government? What do you think about what we're doing? Is there anything we could help you with? You're building an effective channel of communication and a team element. You're building trust when you do that. And you're also looking into yourself and saying, wait a minute, I might not be doing this as good as I thought. I might have to change it. It's hard to hear sometimes, but if you rely on each other to evaluate each other and you take it as just an element to get to what the people deserve and need, and it's the business of the people and it's nothing personal, things will change. They practice continuous learning and development as leaders. effective board members, effective staff, effective management, all never quit learning and studying. And I love that people come here and we have so many people signed up. That shows that you're not stopping the learning. And that is key, especially today in the times we live in with technology and everything and how fast-paced everything is. Now, I told you I like to pepper in my thoughts from my experience with some of what the literature is saying. So what do ineffective boards look like? We see what effective boards look like. And it's not rocket science, I don't think, and it's not technical, and it's not really any formulas in there. It's just commitment to those principles. So ineffective, what do they look like? We just reverse everything we just talked about, right? That's ineffective. But from what I've seen from working with not only local government, but state government, working through all the years with the legislature and all those things, I've got to see a lot. And what I've seen, ineffective boards, organizations, the board members do not show respect towards one another. They don't show it towards staff and management. Nobody's really showing that respect, right? Gotta have it. Decorum is not maintained at meetings. Gotta have decorum in the meetings. Board members will put all in jeopardy for the sake of politics, not passing a budget, etc., just for the politics of the matter. Staff and the board have a frictional relationship.
Did the first four of those kind of define the legislature?
No, they do not define the legislature. But look, there are situations that occur where things could be done better. And I think over the years, when I first started working there till today, processes are so much better, I think, so much more efficient and effective, I believe. And with local government, I've seen a lot of improvement. I really have. But we don't like to see these, so hopefully those four things aren't reflective of the entirety of an organization. Okay. Staff doesn't provide board with vital information. We see that as a problem a lot. And the board doesn't review vital information presented to the staff. I can tell you that's very frustrating as a staff person. When I first came here, on your comment about the legislature and some of the deficiencies I saw there, when I first came here, it seemed like our reports weren't really picked apart like they are today and just really in the spotlight. And I started noticing a change with that. Members were coming to committees with sticky notes all in our reports. And the fiscal notes that we would do, they were highlighted and flagged and everything. And I said, wow, they're reading it, they're getting it. And the questions followed. I guess that's the downside of it. You're going to get some really hard questions, right? But no, I saw that change. And nothing more frustrating when you produce a lot of information and come to a meeting to discuss it and the folks have not read it and don't understand it. Ineffective. Board and staff members don't engage in discussion about finances, budget, program outcomes, needed changes. Hard and necessary decisions are not made, but they're avoided, leading to more drastic measures that are needed down the road. So we have seen people say, yes, we give financial statements at the meetings. We sure do. And then we find out that you don't talk about them a lot. Questions aren't asked. It's kind of breezed over. But those meetings are for that discussion, and you need that discussion. Once transparency is evident and everybody in that room in your community starts understanding that you're all about transparency, that trust and confidence grows. Members and staff are not trained on open meetings law and other laws and policies and regulations that guide them. They really don't know what they're guided by, what they're required to do. The most basic elements of governance are unachievable. Like I said, budget's not passed. I've seen where people couldn't get the correct number of motions to move into a meeting and couldn't hold the meeting and those kind of things. Discussing performance but you're bashing instead of praising accomplishments and talking about how things can be improved and fixed. And we'll see from the comments from a friend of mine that I talked to, who's a very successful football player who won a Super Bowl, what he thinks about bashing people. And you'll see how important that is to not do, right? And then there's no teamwork at all. There's just a lack of coherence and teamwork, and it's so fragmented. I've seen it. Us and them. There should be no us and them, right? Shouldn't be. And I've seen it. And sometimes I think it's just, oh, that's how it is. That's how it is. I've talked to one person one time, I said, well, this mayor and this police chief are not getting along. And they said, yeah, but that's how it is. You know that. That's how it is everywhere. I said, no, that's not how it is everywhere. And it doesn't need to be that way, right? We need to work on it and not make it that way. Teamwork has to be there. So the person I'm telling you about, I started thinking about, okay, I've looked at some research out there. I've put the critical points down there. I know what I've learned through my almost 27 years of working with everybody. But can I talk to a person that has been in a very professional organization? And I started thinking of business leaders that I knew, business owners and all this. And I thought of a friend of mine who played football at LSU and wound up winning a Super Bowl trophy with the Philadelphia Eagles. There you go. You got an Eagles fan? Is that right? There you go. There you go. So just a little bit about him. Donnie Jones, some may know him or know of him. Catholic High All-State punter and All-District tight end, 2003 national champion with LSU, longest punt in LSU history. Now, I did read some other stats that said there's somebody else that has one, but since Donnie's my friend, we're going to go with longest punt in LSU history. 86 yards in the Kentucky game, the Bluegrass Miracle Kentucky game is what they were saying, I think. So 15 seasons in the NFL. Wow, that is impressive, right? He did something right because he was telling me that the years needed to vest in the system are like 3 to 5 years for retirement or something crazy like that. You just don't have a lot of people hanging around the NFL for a long time. So 15 seasons with the Seahawks, Dolphins, Rams, Texas Texans, Eagles, Chargers. Wow, that's impressive. Then he won a Super Bowl with the Eagles in 2018. You can do that again. There you go. All right. You were there?
No question.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
My last bucket list there.
Well, I'll have to tell Donnie. I'll have to get your card and give it to him. That's cool. I wish I would have been there. I just read stats and talked to Donnie, But so when I called him, because we have talked before, and I noticed how he gets into discussing what makes people and organizations successful. He really is a great person to talk to. And I said, I'm going to just reach out to him, tell him what we're doing, see what he says. I told him all about what CLGE is, and he just jumped on it. I'm going to tell you, he really jumped on it and provided so much information to me. I just kind of sat back and started writing, and he just had a lot of good things to say, but I was I guess I wasn't surprised, but I was pleasantly surprised how he jumped at the chance to give information to all of you. He said, wow, so all these local government people are coming together to try to learn how to be more effective and all that stuff? And I said, yeah. He goes, wow, that's impressive, Yeah, I got a lot to say. So I told him, I said, well, look, just give me the things off the top of your head that make you successful and the organization successful and what everybody has to do together to be successful. And I thought he was going to start talking about rushing, passes, the best tackler, how many tackles, all of these stats, records broken in college, records broken in the NFL. He didn't. He didn't talk about any of that. And what he said was, I'm going to go straight to, I'm not going to talk about my LSU team, but some of the same things I'm going to talk about my Eagles team. are the same with the LSU team. He said, I want to talk about the Eagles Super Bowl team. He said, first of all, know that we lost 7 to 8 people that we counted on. And everybody said we were done. They're done. They have no chance. We never thought that, right? But we thought it at times, I guess, you know. But on the 4th of February, 2018, they became Super Bowl champions. And he said the reason that is we were a true team. He must have said true team, gosh, 50 times in that conversation. I was talking to him on the telephone. He called me back from Miami where he was on vacation, and he took time to talk about this. That's how he felt it was important enough to do that. He said, we're a true team. And I'm going to read this to you because it's pretty much what he said. We all came together to accomplish the same goal, to win a Super Bowl. The same goal. We knew what we were doing. All knew our role and worked to do our job. We all knew what we were doing. That's what the literature was saying. We're held accountable and held each other accountable. We've all been talking about that today, and the literature supports it. And the literature is talking about board meetings. He's talking about a football team. Brought each other up and didn't tear each other down, and never, ever passed blame. We respected each other. We didn't have to be friends or like everybody, but we treated each other with respect. Jennifer was just talking about respect. We had character and never did anything to hurt the team. We were humble. Remember being a public official, and when I say public official, I mean down to the lowest position in the organization, because they're responsible for success too. You have to be at a higher standard. You have to hold yourself at a higher standard. You have fiduciary responsibilities, etc. Had character and never did anything to hurt the team. We were humble. We were a true team. Although the NFL, he said, you know, is very competitive. Everybody knows that. He said that those people that were hurt stayed on to coach their replacements. And that was a special thing. Not only was it special because he was coaching, they were getting coaching from the starters, right? But it was very special because it sent a message to the team. We're all about the team, not just about me, not just about how much I'm getting paid, what I'm doing. We're all about the team. And he told me, he said we had different races, religions, hometowns, high schools, colleges, but we were all just one. And towards the end of us talking, I told him, I said, Donnie, I was reading this book called The Board Book that Diane had given me, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And I said, everything you're saying is like agreeing with that and what people in the discipline, experts in the discipline, say that you need to do to be an effective board member and have an effective local government entity. And he was like, really? Wow, that's kind of strange. I said, no, I guess it's not, because you have an organization that's successful and those principles helped you get there. And I said, you know, you haven't talked anything about skill. You haven't said he did not say anything about football. It was the weirdest thing. And he said immediately, quote unquote, yeah, but it wasn't about that. It was about working together. Wasn't about the skill. That's very powerful. So my nephew, when he found out that Donnie was my friend, we were coming out of church one day, and I said, Hampton, there's Donnie Jones over there. Well, I play him in Nintendo, and I made him a quarterback, and he's not good at it. So he went and talked to Donnie and told him he'd made him a quarterback, and he wasn't good. And he said, well, I'm a punter. I'm not a quarterback. You should have, you know, that kind of thing. I don't know how that game works, but my nephew was making it happen that way. And they started talking, and he said, how did you guys win the Super Bowl? What made you different? How did you? And I thought they were going to talk about football. And he said, well, we trusted each other and we played for one another. I trusted every guy in the locker room, everyone. And my nephew just kind of stood there. And I said, that's awesome, Hampton. Take that answer and let's go and let him get back to his family and stuff. But that's a powerful answer. I trusted everybody. We trusted everybody. We played for one another, and that is very powerful. I'm starting to hear, I heard the accounting today when I listened to a little bit of it, but when I heard the things that stuck out to me, communication, you got to communicate. I'm like, well, that didn't something like you think you'd talk about in accounting, communication. Then we come in with good governing principles. We have an attorney up here, and what is she talking about? Communication, respect, working together. You can't say this. You can't do it this way. This sounds like soft skills, but it's business principles that make you successful. If you remember this slide from previous CLGEs, I've stuck it in there. I think it's important. Not only do the people in good governance discipline, the authors, the literature, not only Donnie Jones, who won a Super Bowl, but these folks also say that working together is very important. Harry Truman, if you're not worried about who gets the credit, it's going to be amazing what people can do. Vince Lombardi, a coaching great, individual commitment to a group effort. That is what makes a team work, company work, society, civilization, everything. And then Babe Ruth is saying, you can have a ton of great people in your organization, but if you don't work together, it's not going to be worth a dime, right? It's funny when I asked the advocate, so Donnie sent me some pictures, and I asked the advocate, because they had run a story, if they could send me a picture, and they asked me what I was doing, and I said, well, we're doing CLGE, and I just wanted to see if you get some pictures of Donnie Jones or whatever. And well, what is that? And I told him what CLGE is, and oh wow, okay. And it's funny to see what people send you to put into your presentation when they know what you're doing. They send me this picture. It's Donnie Jones talking to a bunch of kids, right? And I bet you the person that sent that to me was thinking, he's not talking about football. He's talking about success. He's talking about what makes you successful, teamwork, working together, and those kind of things. And I bet you he is. And I bet you he is. So it's important. And I brought that up because I wanted to bring a real life experience of someone who's not in our industry and our discipline, who thinks that all this isn't just fluff and warm, fuzzy stuff, but it's real. And it's important. Some more general research to see what folks are thinking out there about the strategies that can be employed to get there. How can we get there and be successful, effective board members, staff, management, and organizations? I did some research. I found a lot out there. It all agreed pretty much. Diane gave me the board book, and this one's been around a while, this book. But the principles are good. And I just kind of ran down the table of contents, and I thought, wow, even the table of contents labeled under what do good board members do is a good checklist. So now we're kind of moving into the checklist portion. I'm going to finish everything with my own checklist, which is about 4 pages of stuff which I think you can just go back and do and make things operate better. So the board book says, keep the focus, not just your focus, but ensure everybody's focused on your purpose and what you're supposed to be doing. Don't be the one who stirs everything up. Don't allow it. Don't participate in it. Keep focused. Prioritize ethics and values. Always do the right thing no matter what. And I'll talk a little bit more about that too. Know the business. Don't have to be an expert, but know what you all are there to do and issues you face, complexities, and those kind of things. And we'll talk about it a little bit more in the trenches of how to get there. Prepare for meetings, prepare for discussions, prepare for issues that are coming up. Attend the meetings. Listen well. I've heard that today. Listen well. Do not interrupt. Do not badmouth people, especially in meetings. As much as you might be tempted over a passionate issue, do not do it. Ask the right questions. Those that will foster discussion and resolution, not that will hamper it or damage it. Don't micromanage. Hire the right people, train them, give them policies and procedures that will help them be guided in their jobs, and let them do their jobs and hold them accountable, and hold yourselves accountable. Contribute. Don't just sit there and do nothing, but at the same time, Don't just talk to show that you have expertise in an area. Okay, contribute, but make sure you're doing it to serve the people. Everything you do is to serve your people, right? And think about that. Ask yourselves that on a daily basis, every issue you're talking about, whatever. Is this serving the people? If the answer is no, recalculate. Set priorities. Don't go after every little issue that doesn't matter just to go after it. Go after the ones that matter to you and that you think that you can be the most beneficial helping that government entity. Be a catalyst to action. Don't get in the way in a destructive manner to stop action. Be strategic. What will get you to the end goal of what you need? You have to think through it. It's a thinking person's game. Be creative. Self-explanatory. Avoid groupthink. Don't let people just steamroll over you. Don't do something so you don't want to rock the boat. You have to do what's right, but you can do it in a professional manner. Support management, and we'll talk about it. Public support is a good thing, I believe. Be positive. I mean, reading this board book intro, making your corporate board a strategic force in your company's success. I thought I was going to have formulas in there, right? And things I didn't understand. But this list is pretty simple. Again, people write books with this instruction because these things aren't being done. Create an environment of accountability. Maintain a good bedside manner. And what they were meaning by that is watch how you say what you're saying. It can be destructive. The finesse of communication. Again, communication is vital. Be a coach and a mentor whenever you can. Exercise independence. Don't let things influence you in a way they shouldn't, or people influence you in a way they shouldn't. Always be held to that higher standard. Be willing to disagree, but do it in a positive manner, right? So the board book, I would say go read that. I mean, if you're looking for something to do on Saturday when you don't have anything to do, but go Google these type of things and just see what's out there. And read through the board book. It gives you some good information. There are some publications by the School Board Association, American School Board Association, I believe it is, that actually lists out what different new board members and experienced board members are saying about being, what's the name of that, Diane, you remember?
Association of School Board Officials.
Association of School Board Officials. They have some good publications and people actually giving real-time feedback and everything. Also, how can we get there? We must understand the differences between the board and the staff. And I put a lot on these slides so that you'll have them and everything. But we have to understand there are differences, right? Historically, traditionally, the board is more about oversight and policy, and management and the staff is more in the trenches getting the business done. It's about operations. Here it says the staff actually carry out the operations. They sleep it, they eat it, they own it, that type of thing. Now, yes, understand that there is a difference, but also embrace that difference and create an environment of cooperative, professional coexistence. I mean, you've really got to embrace that you're different, but you've got to work together. Board members and staff should work as partners, ensuring each other's success. The effectiveness of board members depends on the quality of information that's coming from the staff and the support that's coming from the staff. And each person has a very important role. Everybody has an important role in making the organization effective. Everybody has a role in making the board member effective. Everybody has a role in making the staff effective and the organization effective and getting what you need to get to your constituents. It wouldn't hurt to have things like this laid out in policies and procedures where, hey, this is traditionally what boards do, and this is what our board's going to do, and this is what staff is responsible for doing. These are the kind of things we expect from them, and these are the kind of things that we suggest never happen. Okay? We've been talking, I know a lot of the literature kind of leans heavy towards what a board member should do, and I tried to make the leap over that we're all in it together. But there was some literature out there, and there is some literature out there that kind of hits on what staff specifically can do to help a board member be successful and the organization be successful. Provide orientation and training. You got board members who are coming in, just like legislators, and they might not be that familiar with what's going on procedural wise, all the complex issues and those type of things. So be proactive in terms of orientation and training, and go to them and provide training, documents, whatever that may help them carry out their role. I know when the legislature, every now and again, they'll do a big orientation when we have a lot of new members come in, and each of the staff units, you know, legislative auditor's office, legislative fiscal office, they'll come before them and give them orientation. But I tell you, I have a friend who's on appropriations committee, and this is his second year, I believe, to be on appropriations committee. And I proactively took it on myself while we were doing fiscal notes to call him and tell him exactly what a fiscal note was and everything I could about it. And I try to do that whenever I have the opportunity for any legislator that I can share some or shed some light on fiscal notes when I think that there might be some confusion about it, because it gets technical, all that stuff. Legislators are faced with a lot, and then here comes the fiscal note with all its rules and situations and procedures and everything that you have to do. So be proactive about orientation and training. It's not bad to invite a board member over to your organization, walk them around, show them what you do, ask them what they're faced with and those kind of things. And I know that may seem very foreign to some folks, or hey, whoa, we could never do that, letting board members come in here, or golly, that would cause this or that. Not if we were focused on the business for the people and we were doing whatever we could to make sure that it was running smoothly. I mean, how many times have you ever invited a board member over just to show them what you do, introduce them to the staff and that type of thing? I even suggested to my friend in the legislature to come to our office, and he wants to come to our office and meet the auditors he hears so much about in all these reports and everything, and see the office. So we'll do that. Engage board members in planning. When you're doing policies and procedures, people have asked me, does the board have to approve it? I said, well, they don't have to approve all policies and procedures, but why not involve them in it to some degree? Maybe a little subcommittee or something that they can give advice on them, and present it to the board and let them give you their advice on it and their input. When you include people in the process, it gives them ownership. It shows that you respect them and that you want to work with them. Offer administrative support. Staff members can assist board members with tasks such as scheduling meetings, preparing materials, logistics, those kind of things. There was once where a representative had gotten us to do a report, and he was going to file a package of bills off of it. And I called him and said, the draft of the report's ready to talk about it. Why don't you come on over and we'll talk about it. And it was a very stressful conversation until I really stepped back and said, why is this a stressful conversation? Well, I found out he was going to lose his parking spot. It was very serious. It was the heat of the session. He was going to lose his parking spot if he left and would have to go grab lunch as well, might not make it back after our discussion to a committee that he had to be at to present a bill. And I said, how about this? I'm going to go pick up some Subways. I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to bring you to the conference room. We're going to go through our report, and we'll bring you back and drop you off at the door. Oh, that's perfect. It was one of the better meetings I've had. I'll tell you, it really was. I mean, he was so appreciative that we went out of our way to do that. It made the meeting so much more productive, I thought. But just things like that. Think about what you can do to help them, even if you're having personality conflicts, right? Promote communication, commit to it. Say we're all about communication. We're not going to be an obstacle to communication to everybody in the organization. Communication has to be free-flowing. Like I said, I can't tell you how many times I've heard communication today. Not only promote it, but develop effective communication channels. Of course, you need to have a portion carved out on your agendas and your meetings where you talk about very critical and important financial and operational data, and you have those carved out areas for discussion as well. But also tell board members that you are there to answer their questions. It is okay. Come to City Hall, sift through the documents. We'll help you understand it. But also, when you can't get to someone, and there are many times you can't, explain to them logically and calmly over and over and over if you have to, and give them an alternative delivery method and time, okay? Sometimes that won't work, but most of the time when you really go out of your way to explain and give them other options, it can diffuse a volatile situation. And so we promote communication, we develop the channels for communication, but we also make sure that we provide good information. And good information is clear, accurate, comprehensive, and timely communication. So that means we always have to be keeping good records, right? Employing controls to where our records are good. We're monitoring those records. We have it, it's easy access and easy to get to someone. Communication is an element of internal control. On the internal control triangle, it's a business function, so it's important. Express appreciation. You know, we have board members that are coming in that have a lot of pressures on them. You're not getting paid that great as board members and other positions. So a public recognition goes a long way, but I say to board members, it's the same thing with staff and management. And I'll tell you about a situation where we got public recognition for doing fiscal notes, and it lifted the staff up. I saw it. It lifted our staff who were tired as anything immediately. One sentence or two from the floor of the House of Representatives, and I saw what it did. And foster a positive culture. Here it says, overall, the staff can make board members more effective by providing information, support, and training they need, right? And they can foster a positive culture by recognizing the members' contributions, providing opportunities for members to share their expertise. You're including people, you're respecting them, you're helping them, they start helping you. When you start behaving a certain way, no matter what, people change, okay? It may take a while, but it does for the most part. There are outlier situations, of course, but of course these things go both ways. So 24 years of working legislative sessions, doing fiscal notes primarily, and other things related to our audit findings and that type of thing. 13 years of working with local governments. I kind of like, when I'm doing these presentations, I go through all of this, putting these slides together, and this is the therapeutic part of it. Like I'm starting to like to do the checklist at the end. Like, okay, these are the things I think you can go do, and I think you'll see a immediate improvement. And it's not scientific and all of this, that, and the other, not a lot of formulas and all that. It's just very black and white, I believe. And I always say, why not just give it a try, even with the person that you thought you never could give this a try with? Why not give it a try? What do you got to lose, right? So here are the tips. Always do what is right and ethical, no matter what pressure is applied. Those applying the pressure will respect you in the long run. You're building trust, you're building confidence. There was one time when I first started doing fiscal notes where I came up with a conclusion in the fiscal note, and the legislator did not agree, and he had his points and I had mine, and we discussed and discussed and discussed, and I respected the other perspectives, but I just said, I believe this is the right answer from all the data that we're getting, and that is it. And at the end of the session, we had a lot of discussions about this. At the end of the session, I was walking down the hall and I saw him coming, and I was like, oh Lord, I don't know what he's gonna tell me. And he stopped me and he said, hey, thank you for sticking to your guns through all the discussions. I understand your side of it, and I think you understand mine. I hope you understand it, but thank you for being professional about it. And I went, wow. After that, I was invited to 2 meetings with he and his staff just to be at the table to listen to different items and issues and to get my thoughts on it. So do what's right. It'll be appreciated in the end. Be steady, calm, and consistent in all that you do. Don't be the master of surprise actions and reactions. Stay the course no matter how hard it is, because this has a lot to do with how others react around you. Just be that person known for being calm and steady. Don't be that, surprise and explosive, because guess what? That other people are going to act that way. That's how it's going to be around you for the most part. Diffuse volatile situations. Don't add to them. And as fun as it may be to jump into something and argue and get all passionate about it, take the high course and diffuse volatile situations. And watch for groupthink. It can creep up on you. Just make sure you're doing what's right and not what everybody expects you to do. Understand your entity's purpose and your role in the entity. I heard that today. Understand what you're there for and take pride in what you're doing, because there's nothing worse, honestly, when I hear a public official or a public staff or management just bad mouthing that they hate what they do and that it doesn't matter and this and that, because it is a very important job. It's a very honorable job. You affect, remember what the literature said on the first slide? You affect people's lives every day. They count on you. They don't just come in there all irate and hollering and upset because they don't count on you. They're counting on you. They're counting on you. So take pride in what you do. Understand what you do. And be proud of it. Be familiar with the job requirements and the laws and regulations that should guide you. Please take a look at our website if you haven't. There's tons of tools there. Our legal folks have so many FAQs out there. I go to them probably every day. If not, probably 4 times a week. I'll go to them. They're very good. Jennifer will be talking about things tomorrow that'll help you with the laws, open meetings, public records, local government budget act. But be familiar with what is supposed to guide you. Talk to your colleagues to understand the pressures they face. Just ask them what they face and tell them what you face. I tell you, it goes a long way. I've had many a conversations with people, especially in the sessions, where they might ask, we need this fiscal note at this time, and I tell them what is going on and what we're faced with, other demands that we've got to meet, and we try to work through it. And when I tell them what we're faced with, I try to understand what they're faced with. It smooths it out every time. And we build respect and we build a team culture. You just got to talk to people, no matter who they are, no matter who they are. Acknowledge that you respect everybody's role in the job they must do. Tell them that. I tell people that. I respect you. I told you today, I respect you before we started talking. Tell people that. It goes a long way. Walk the walk. Show your colleagues that you're there to help them to succeed, that you're not going to hurt them. Remember Donnie Jones said, you got to do this no matter how hard things get. Walk the walk. Show them you're going to help them. Always be doing the right thing there with them and for them. When COVID hit and we were all at home, we took our computers and advisory services folks, even with some of our top management, we called all the legislators that we could and every local government person that we could get a hold of and just asked them, hey, how are things going? Is there anything we can help you with? What are the problems over there? And I can't tell you how many great relationships we built by doing that and what help we were able to give to people. So walk the walk even in the most toughest of times. Commit to and show your colleagues that you won't do anything that could put them at jeopardy, okay? Always do the right thing, diffuse the volatile situations, don't pass blame, build people up. If you have a deficiency or a problem, identify it and work together to improve it together, okay? That builds a team structure and you will be successful. Your constituents will see that. There'll be more public trust, I believe. You don't have to like each other, but you got to come together to serve the people. Just like Donnie Jones said, we don't have to like each other, but we had a purpose. More transparent, the better. Be all about transparency. Give information, help people get information, help them understand it. Keep good records that are easy to obtain, produce, and use. Get involved in all those internal controls. Go look at our website, call us, we'll tell you how to do it. Control your information and make it good. Good information is critical, make it a priority. Consistently produce accurate, comprehensive, understandable, and timely information, and monitor the fiscal status, programmatic status, and work together to make a change. Calmly explain when and why you can't meet certain demands or requests. Suggest alternate delivery methods or alternate products that you can deliver. Calmly, consistently explain to people. Review information that is given to you and discuss in a positive manner. Be prepared, do your homework. Just don't discard information that people give you. Understand it and discuss it with them. Before speaking on a critical, complex issue, ask yourself once more, and this is very important, I do this all the time. Am I looking at this right? Am I making the correct conclusions? Does evidence support my conclusions? How can I present what I have here without hurting the team structure and my other board members and my staff and management and the organization? How can I present it in the most professional manner possible? And is this in the best interest of the people that we serve? What we're talking about in our meeting tonight, what we're talking about in town hall, just a couple of us in a smaller meeting, a non-public meeting, right? But we have to ask ourselves that all the time. It's about evaluation of ourselves. I believe Jennifer was saying, it's about evaluation of what you're doing, what you're doing and what your organization's doing. When you have to give attention to another person in a board meeting, please explain it. When I first started in the legislature, doing fiscal notes with the legislature, we'd be talking and they'd get up and leave and go through a side door. And I was like, whoa, man, they really don't care about what I was saying. And I guess it's wrong. I don't know. Did I make them mad? Well, about 2 years into that, I started noticing they were actively explaining, and they do so well with that now. Legislators actively explain, hey, you may see a member get up and leave through this side door. They're on other committees and there are bills that they have to go vote on or go present, but they're watching a TV in the side meeting room and they're trying to keep up with it, and they'll even come back and ask some of us in the other legislators and staff what has transpired so they'll be able to vote. Boy, that just opened. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Now I feel valued. I feel more valued. Okay, I'm good. I can sit at the table and talk about this, and people are walking off, and I feel valued. And guess what? Valued people want to produce, and that's a good thing, right? So let people know that if that's going on. Consistently go the extra mile, like we talked about the lunch with the representative. It really helped a bunch. Public acknowledgement goes a long way. Representative Green got up on the floor one day. We were tired. We were just done a lot of fiscal notes, had a lot of issues. And he got up there and said, I just want to thank the folks over at the auditor's office for doing all those fiscal notes. And we just really appreciate it. I think we got a couple weeks left in the session, but we just wanted to tell them thank you. And my phone lit up. There were people calling. Oh, did you hear that? Did you hear that? He was thanking us for doing this work. And it just lit them up. I mean, they just lifted them up. We finished out the session and it was good, right? So if you can do that to your staff and management, and you can do that to your board members, even the ones you're having problems with, it goes a long way. The team dynamic will be strengthened. Talk about how well you're all performing together. Evaluate the group, evaluate yourselves, and ask yourselves all together, and even in meetings, and ask yourselves on a daily basis, is our performance as a team, meaning the board, the council, management, staff, going to attract businesses and residents who want to locate to, live in, and contribute to the overall success of the municipality of the parish that we're in? And if the answer is no, then you have to reassess and reconfigure. Also, please use us. Use our website and call us. We're your trusted advisor, right? And here's my contact information. And I'll stay around. This thing ends at 4:15? Okay, all right. I'll stay around for any questions, and if you have any questions online, they'll be, okay, they don't, but you can get them to me, send them in, and we will answer you. But thank y'all for coming. I really do respect that y'all are coming and sitting through 2 days of a lot of good information, right? And that was a good question. Thank you.